Hey everybody, Sean Harrington here. Okay, for those who've never done it before, we're going to do a real quick teardown of the Aquarius computer. I apologize it's upside down, but I'm sure your brain can figure out what's going on here. This, I believe, is an NTSC, a North American version of it. But the point of it is we're going to tear it down so that we can make some modifications to it. But a lot of people have never torn one down, so let's start off. Assuming you have one of these dust covers, for the cartridge port, you're going to take it, turn it off to the side. I'm unplugged here, so just to let you know, I'm not being unsafe about this. Okay, there are a number of screws. There are actually screws underneath these feet and here in the center of this sticker. We're not going to tear those down, we're just going to take the basic brass ones out. I've got a little container here that I'm going to keep the screws in. These outer screws are kind of a brass color. They are approximately ½ an inch, 3/4 of an inch long. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. We're going to take those out. If you start off by giving a little quick turn on them with the screwdriver pressed in hard, it'll pop the, these are plastic threading screws, so they've probably never been opened since they were installed at the factory. So you give it a little pop, it'll crack loose and it should be fine. They are coarse threaded, so they come out very quickly. The threads are ridiculously far apart because, again, they're tapping into plastic. Okay, so we finished the first 5. This should be the last one, the 6th. And do that. I'm going to check my framing to make sure I'm still in frame. Yep, looks good. All right. So make sure I don't knock those screws and send them flying everywhere. I'm going to lift up on the Aquarius, and what you'll see is the keyboard, lift forward. The keyboard here is in a friction sleeve, a little push mount. So what you can do is just very carefully with 2 hands, pull on both sides. Don't be shy about it. And it's on a little piece of reinforced plastic. It's only on one side, and it's kind of cheap, but anyway, it should pop right out. And now you can set the keyboard part aside. We're not going to make any modifications to this. Okay, now let's see. We are going to now we're going to take out the next set of components. For fun, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little flat-headed screwdriver, mainly for fun, mostly for safety. I'm going to take this, and what I'm doing is I'm pressing in here to pull this little tongue back, and I'm going to take the power connector off. So you'll see what I'm doing here. I'm going to just set it off to the side. I'm not plugged in anyway, but it's just a good safety measure. So now we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, if I'm counting right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws that are tapped in here in various places. Let's count one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now we're up to 6. And they don't go in every single one of these holes, and I don't know why. I don't think this has been opened up before because it actually looks pretty factory clean. So we're going to take these 6 screws out, and they're of a couple of different types. The first type are these circuit board holding screws, and they are about ½ an inch long, and they have an integrated washer almost, but a big flat thing that makes the width of that go. They'll typically have a little bit of plastic crud around them. Just go and toss those in. Take the second one. It's like that. And I think that's it for those 2. I'm gonna get this out. This is magnetized, so should be fine. And then the other ones here that actually seem to be holding in the RF shield. Do this one here. And again, let's get that with the magnet. Now this one's a little different. This one doesn't have the pan head top. It does have the coarse screws, but it's actually a wider head Phillips screw. And here's another one over here. Take this off. Again, similar to that last one. Not the same as we had here, but similar. Here's one in here. And then I think this is the last one that holds the motherboard itself to the system. So we had two of the brassy colored ones that went into the plastic and the others that seem to hold this in place. So now we're gonna see if there's anything else I forgot. I'm gonna lift up here on the motherboard. And you're trying to get it off of these pegs. The motherboard actually sits flush with the top of these pegs here. So we're lifting up a little bit, getting past those pegs, and then we're going to slide it back to get it somewhat out of here. Now, this is the next challenge. So in here, we have a transistor. I believe it's the 7805. It's a legacy transistor that we'll see here in a second. We're going to remove this. Now, there is a, there we go, got a little pair of pliers here, or you can use a very small wrench. There is a nut on the back of this that will start spinning. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this in here, carefully press. Don't want to strip it. Yeah, let's use this one, it's a little smaller. Strip this out, so I'm going to move this up vertically so I can get more leverage on it. Hopefully you can see that there. Try and pop it loose first. Here we go. Let's see if that just comes out as is. It may be spinning in place, so let's see here. No, it's actually coming out of its own volition, so hopefully you can see that. I'm holding the nut on the bottom side in place while this comes out. Take that off and the nut should drop out. Yep, it should drop out. Let's use the magnetic thing, it looks a little corroded. So we're going to put it and its retention screw into the bucket. So now the power supply and the bottom half of the case can go off to the side. So here's the motherboard. There's not a whole lot we can do to it beyond this point because at this point it requires some desoldering. If you'll notice, this is a trim capacitor. Don't try and unscrew that because it's not a screw. This is actually something that keeps your system tuned to the type of system that it is, which is either a North American NTSC or a PAL European one. On the PAL versions, I believe that screw is here. But for the sake, do not try to unscrew this. This is not a screw. All of the screws on the Aquarius are Phillips head screws for removing the case. This is just a trim capacitor, so don't touch it. So that, by itself, is a disassembly of the Aquarius motherboard.